Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Also in boxing, it's not just the fighter who finds a way to win. The trainer has a whole lot to do with it too. And when you're a guy like Bomac, Brian McIntyre, right? And you see what he's been able to do with the success of Terence Crawford, even Keyshawn Davis, and now going in short term and being able to help Chris Eubank Jr. get a victory. But this is the problem. Bomac, he's being treated like Terence Crawford. And basically, they're not giving him the respect he deserves as a trainer. Like Terence Crawford to this day, people still don't want to give him his respect, although he's undisputed in two different weight divisions. They still try to find reasons to justify why his opponents didn't perform in the ring and ended up taking losses to Crawford instead of giving Crawford his credit as just being the better all-around, more intelligent, more athletic, more powerful, faster fighter in the ring. They don't do that. So the thing with Bomac, look, we shouldn't even be discussing anything that has to do with Terence Crawford. They're saying that Bomac didn't develop Terence Crawford. Bomac has 2, 3, 4 other trainers that help him to develop Terence Crawford. Bomac doesn't deserve all the credit, and he really doesn't deserve much because we don't know who's really the brains behind Terence Crawford. And I just think that's unfortunate, man. It really is. You have these trainers. It doesn't matter which trainer we're talking about. We just happen to be talking about Bomac. But trainers in general who are working, feverishly, taking time away from their families, trying to develop game plan strategies to impart to their fighter and to bring the best out of their fighters. So to come now and just say that Bomac and suggest for him to deserve credit, then he shouldn't have anyone there to assist him. To that I say, hold your horses. Stop taking it to the stupid. That's crazy. I'm going to say this. You look at Bomac when he fought as a pro. This man had 7 wins. 2 of those wins, he got a KO. Then 14 losses. Out of his 14 losses, he was knocked out 9 times. A guy like Bomac, in my opinion, he's not supposed to be where he is right now as a trainer based on that record. But what this tells you, right, is you just never know what your calling is. You just never know. And for him, it was to be a trainer. Now, what really got this conversation bubbling is Eubank Jr. just fought Liam Smith. And before Eubank Jr. got in the ring with Liam Smith for this rematch, these people are so crazy. The media and boxing fans were saying, not everyone, but the majority, that Bomac is just going over there to get a check. He's not there to really try to develop Eubank Jr. And for the most part, they don't think there's anything he can do or bring to the table that's going to change the outcome. Like the first fight with Chris Eubank Jr. getting knocked out. Many believe the fight wouldn't go past 2 rounds. Anyway, Chris Eubank Jr. gets in the ring and puts on a dazzling performance. He fought from the first second of the first round to the last second when the fight concluded. But check this out. Now, back on Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford did the same thing with Earl Spence. From the first second of the first round to the last second when the fight ended, he fought. That first round, he kind of felt him out a little bit, was cautious, but he was still picking his spots, but he had to give Earl Spence that first round, but Crawford was still, ready to go. But when Crawford started to turn it up, it was all Crawford. He never stopped working until that mysterious 8th round. And he was still working, but he kind of let off the gas a bit, then he stopped Spence in the 9th. Now, everybody said Earl Spence was weight drained, right? That was the argument. And I think it's fair to have a conversation about it. Nothing's off limits when we're talking about boxing. But here's the thing. They didn't want to give Terence Crawford and Bomac any credit because they said Earl Spence was drained. Now the rematch at 154. Okay? weight drained. It needs to be a rematch, and many people still feel Spence will beat Terence Crawford at 154 because they feel that 154 is going to make a difference for Earl Spence and not for Crawford. No one's talking about the trainers and how Derek James didn't have a plan B, C, D, E, or F. He just had plan A, Earl Spence to go in, mash up, crash up Earl Spence, and we get out of there early. It didn't go as planned. Bomac had plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G because he respected Earl Spence, what he brought to the table, and knew if Terence Crawford got in there and got anxious, made mistakes, Earl Spence could make him pay, Earl Spence could hurt him, and it could be an early night with Spence going home happy. So you saw what happened in the ring. The strategy, the plan, perfectly executed by Crawford. Bomac, they got the win. Now you look at Eubank Jr. All of a sudden now, Liam Smith had to lose weight. He was weight drained. I thought Eubank Jr. is the one who was weight drained. I thought he's the one who struggles getting down to 160. Now Liam Smith, the first fight, that was the talk, right? Eubank Jr. killed himself. He shouldn't be fighting at 160. He should be fighting at 168. Shouldn't be fighting at 158. Right? All this talk, even at the face-off, after the weigh-in, Liam Smith, how's it feel? How's the weight cut, huh? You know, poking at him, messing with him. Found out Eubank Jr. didn't eat for a day and a half before the weigh-in. Okay? So here we are thinking that it's Eubank Jr. who's struggling with the weight. But then now the narrative is Liam Smith had a surgery and he had to lose 42 pounds. I'm like, so they're saying it's not what Eubank Jr. did or what Bomac brought to the table as a trainer. It's what Liam Smith went through with surgery. Same thing with Earl Spence, the car accident, the retina surgery. Oh, it's because Liam Smith had to drop 40-something pounds. Same thing with Earl Spence. He had to come down from like 185, 190. Had to drop, 40, 45 pounds. Oh, something crazy to get to 147. So what you see there is there's some congruencies between the narratives of the fighters that Bomac trains, their opponents, and when their opponents lose to Bomac's fighters. And I think that's a foul. I think some people look at Bomac, because I get it. Bomac is himself. Look, he's obese, okay? I mean, we're not bad talking him. It's a fact. He's a big boy. He's sitting there eating bags of Cheetos. He'll drink a soda. He does what he wants. And people just look at that and they converge on him and they judge him. Okay? And they just don't see him as credible because of his appearance. But that physical appearance has nothing to do with the mind. Who knows what's going on with him? Thyroid condition or whatever it could be. We don't know. But, that's what happens with people, very judgmental, very impressionable, and they just take a look at him and figure he shouldn't know what he's doing. Because one, he didn't do that well as a professional fighter, and two, he's overweight. And that has nothing to do with his knowledge as a boxer and what he brings to the table. And to me, let's take a look at what he's going to do with Keyshawn Davis, because Keyshawn Davis is looking pretty damn good to me. I still think Keyshawn Davis has some work to do before he tries to jump in with a Frank Martin and some of these other killers at 135. But Keyshawn Davis is looking good. Look at the work he did and developed a champion. And that guy that Blair Cobb beat. What's his name, man? He's from Dallas, man. Can't remember his name. But Maurice Hooker. He was a champion. Bomac had everything to do with that. So there's something there to Bomac. But, he has his flagship fighter in Terence Crawford, and that's just the guy everyone knows, so it is what it is. It's like Eddie Reynoso, a couple of guys he puts his hands on, but everyone knows Canelo. Okay? But I do think we need to get over the appearance, because if you didn't know anything about Freddie Roach, and you just knew that maybe he boxed and he was, a good, strong journeyman, never was elite, but he was a guy who would give you a good fight. And if you weren't on your P's and Q's, Freddie Roach would have beat you. But if you were to see Freddie Roach, kind of like Bomac, you look at him, first impressions, you judge him. Obese guy, who is he? scruffy looking. You see Freddie Roach walking, Parkinson shaking, struggling to get words out and stuff like that. You would not think that this guy was a mastermind, a boxing whiz, and who has gone on to help develop fighters and make guys into champions. Okay? So we need to give Bomac his credit. Because the only person, when we talk about Bomac being a contender for Trainer of the Year, with the work he did with that win with Terence Crawford over Earl Spence, that's a huge win. Huge win. I don't want to hear nothing about snack and all that. We can talk about that and joke about that and have fun with that conversation. But that snack stuff to me had nothing to do with that strategy. I was watching a clip where Bomac was warming up Eubank Jr. for Liam Smith. And there's a combination that they were throwing. See, some of y'all never boxed. Y'all never even hit mitts, hit the bag. And that's cool. But for those who box, I think you're going to understand what I'm getting at. But for those of you who've never, ever done any training, you don't even know the combinations. I saw with Bomac with Chris Smith, right? With Eubank Jr. He had him throw a 1. That's the jab. Boom! Step in with your shoulder, right? So close the distance and bump him. Then he threw the 2. And then he threw the uppercut to 4. So it was like 1, 2, 4. But the 1, what it does is it blinds you. Just, most fighters, unless you Terence Crawford, who else keep their eyes locked on their opponent? There's someone else who keeps their eyes locked on their opponent. And I always talk about it. They fight with their eyes. But I think it's just Terence Crawford what I talk about. Unless you Terence Crawford, you're going to blink. Because Terence Crawford don't blink. Throw that jab, get him to blink, then you step in and bump him. Then you throw the 2, then you throw the 40 uppercut. And when I saw him doing that with Eubank Jr., I was like, yo, that's genius. And he had him stepping around. And when he fought, I didn't see, because I watched the fight, I didn't see this clip of him warming him up until today. And I was like, that's exactly what he was doing in the fight. I mean, exactly. So it works. But that being said, man, Bomac, look, man, they're doing him just like his flagship fighter, and they're not giving him any respect as a trainer. And it's sad because for those of you who are saying, well, he needs to have more people on his roster. I'm gonna tell you this: if I remember correctly, they never ever gave Roger Mayweather Trainer of the Year, is my understanding. And if that's the case, right, then they need to really take a look at how they're doing business and how they're determining Trainers of the Year. Is it by how many fighters you develop? That's the case. I think Robert Garcia has a great run going because all of his fighters do well. But if we're going to really take a look at it and be fair, I think sometimes, I'll put it to you this way. If you have a bunch of students in your class, right? And they're preparing for a test. And you have 3 teachers mentoring groups of students. And one teacher works one-on-one with the child because the child just can't make the other tutoring sessions. So that teacher's worked one-on-one with that child. And the other 2 teachers have split the class up. So you get like 15 with one teacher, 15 with the other teacher, and one student in a one-on-one situation because of his circumstances with another one. And 15 of those kids who were tutored by teacher C get a C on their report card, on the test. They all get C's. The other 15 with teacher B, they all get B's. But that one who's with teacher A scores an A+, right? Who deserves to be patted on the back? Yeah, true. It's probably more difficult to juggle 15 students to try to mentor them all. But at the end of the day, that A carries a lot more weight. It's the same thing with Bomac and having Terence Crawford get that win against Earl Spence. That win against Earl Spence carries a lot of weight. The only way I don't see Bomac getting Trainer of the Year this year is if Francis Ngannou knocks out knocks out Tyson Fury. Then Bomac gonna have to move over because Mike Tyson may have to be labeled as trainer of the year. Damn sure should be nominated because if Ngannou can come over and knock out Tyson Fury, oh Lord have mercy. Bomac, hey, attaboy. Job well done with what you did with Terence Crawford, Eubank Jr., Keyshawn Davis, and them other kids, them amateur kids and stuff no one knows about up there in Omaha. Job well done. We laud you. But boy, if Mike Tyson can somehow get Ngannou to just show a tenth of what Mike Tyson had, and he knocks out Tyson Fury, case closed. Talk about what a storyline that would be for Francis Ngannou. Amazing. But that being said, Bomac is being treated like Terence Crawford, where he's just not getting the respect he deserves. And unfortunately for Bomac as a trainer, I just think some people can't get beyond his record as a pro and his appearance. But I say, let's not look at those things. Let's actually look at what he's bringing to the table as a trainer. And he brings a lot. And I really think that what he brought this year in particular outweighs what anyone else has done just in that one fight, because he had the one student out of the whole class who's the only one who scored an A+ on his test. And that's all I got to say about this. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents, and the breeze.